Welcome to the spreadsheet. This is your keynote speaker. That I'll try and keep it quick so it's not a long video and people actually watch it. But I basically planned out the first. I had to go planning out the first week based on one, reading The Lonely Planet, two, talking with Ben, and a little bit of like Chat GPT and some TikTok. So that's the information that I've inputted to this. But I think I'll basically just go through day by day on the sheet, and then there's a couple of quite question points where it'd be good to have some feedback. I think, or we can make some decisions as a team. Sorry to the people who aren't used to corporate life, but I'm hoping that the consultants and engineers of this world appreciate it. So go on, let's start first day. We're all coming in on the same flight now, so that's nice. So there's nothing there. So basically jump ahead to Sunday, May 3rd. We land at 7:45 a.m. in Santiago. So we do have that whole day basically in Santiago when we arrive. I'm hoping that we all should be like fairly well rested, given that we take off at 10 p.m. and it's a 12-hour flight. So you'd expect your like natural timing of tiredness to get us all some decent sleep. So I reckon we should be able to hopefully actually make some use of this day that we get in Santiago. So main headline about Santiago is Ben in particular said that like wouldn't spend a lot of time there, and ChatGPT and Lonely Planet said a similar thing as well. There's not a great deal going on there for like a backpackery kind of holiday. And also, Santiago is low down, right? So it doesn't really help with any acclimatization. But the one thing Ben did say is we should hit up the San Cristobal Hill, which is a big like lookout point over Santiago. I think would be like pretty sort of self-guided, right? You just pop up, you just head up there, and basically some good practice for walking up hills. But he said it was pretty cool. Like you walk up and you get a view over Santiago and the mountains sort of surrounding it. So I thought that could be something we could target to do on our first day when we arrive. Question mark over whether we would like drop our bags off at a hostel first. I also thought we could check and see if there was any footy on, which he said we should do nearer the time. They also, this thing, Ciclo Recreo Via, I got this from Lonely Planet. There's a thing every Sunday where they close a bunch of roads in Santiago and they close it for cyclists, and you can cycle around, but I don't know, I feel like that stopped at like 2 p.m. Then I also thought there was also in the Meals of a Lifetime section on the Lonely Planet, one of the ones they highlighted for like the whole of South America was this place, 99 Restaurante in Santiago. Proper like tasting menu, real fancy dinner club vibes. Probably worth looking into if it's vegetarian, how vegetarian it is, because it's like a tasting menu. And then they go sleep in Santiago. We could obviously find somewhere to book for that. Probably be a good idea to book before we go. Then question: do we want to spend 2 nights in Santiago or just one? So obviously, we basically otherwise we just get that one day where we arrive there and fly. Again, the Lonely Planet said either go to this other place, Valparaiso, or go to like a vineyard. Was what it recommended if you were going to spend more than one night. My personal view would probably be just to spend the one night there, but obviously we know that Tage doesn't really care about vineyards, so I don't want to dictate based on that. So if we were to spend 2 nights in Santiago, all of this stuff that follows on would then just push down by a day. But yeah, whether this is then we do this on Monday, May 4th or Tuesday, May 5th, we're going to fly to this place called Calamar, which is in the north of Chile. At the moment, costs about like 50 quid. I think if we wait longer, that cost might go up a little bit, but So if we decided we want to like lock in these timings, we could just book that ahead of time. We might save ourselves like 20 quid or something. There are like a million options of flights from this place, Calamar. Then once we land in Calamar, it's like it's like a 1 hour flight. We then get a shuttle or a taxi to San Pedro de Atacama, which is the real like backpacker village vibe place right next to the Atacama Desert, or in the Atacama Desert. It says you can get shuttles, but given there's 5 of us, we could get a private taxi. It'd probably work out pretty well. And then, yeah, planning on being in San Pedro de Atacama for a few nights because one, it's at 2,500 meters, so it'd be nice bit of starts a bit of altitude acclimatization. And then the 3-day 2-night tour to the salt flats. On the first day, you drive into Bolivia. The first thing you do, you get picked up early in the morning, and then they drive you into Bolivia, and then all of the other stuff you do is in Bolivia. So all of the lakes and salt flats and all of that shit, it's all in Bolivia. So I think there's a bunch of stuff around San Pedro de Atacama that's worth doing over the course of a few days. So that's some of the stuff I've got here. There's the Lunar Valley of the Moon, which you go to at sunset. It's like it's the place that's like the landscape looks like the moon. That's like what the landscape is like, and they test all the lunar rovers there and stuff like that. So yeah, we could go there on sunset on our first day. I mean, that looks pretty fucking sick. Go sleep in San Pedro de Atacama. We could book our accommodation in San Pedro de Atacama if we wanted to. Then Tuesday we got all day. There was these Lagunas Altiplanicas, which, would it surprise you to know, are high altitude lakes. I mean, pretty fucking sick. That's like right pretty near San Pedro de Atacama, or you do it on like tours from San Pedro de Atacama. There's the Sala de Atacama, which is the salt flat in Chile, but it's a bit of a different vibe, I think, to the one in Bolivia, and is also where our football tops are from. It's from the flowers growing in that. And you could sandboard there. Evening stargazing tour. I think I said before, like the stargazing in San Pedro de Atacama is like literally the best stargazing in the world. So I think it makes sense to spend at least one night doing that. Could sleep in our same accommodation we had before. There it says the next day we could do the El Tatio geysers. I mean, this stuff I feel like we could decide nearer the time, right? And can be all based on what's like available, but this is just stuff that people do. Some geysers, and then rest that afternoon before the uni tour, because I think there's not a lot of walking, I don't think, in the uni tour, but I think it might be pretty rough in terms of like sleeping or like chilling out. So yeah, a uni tour, 3 days 2 nights. It's probably useful to show a map at some point, actually. I can show you all of these things on the map. So just to go with, to begin with, Santiago is here, right? In Bolivia and La Paz. We're going to fly to Calamar, which you can see is there, and then we take the bus. So we take a bus or a taxi to San Pedro to Atacama, and then from San Pedro to Atacama, our tour finishes. We drive up across the border into Bolivia. Then this big white bit is all the fucking salt, and we finish the tour at a uni. So it's probably useful to show that on the map. And then, spoiler alert, when we get to uni, we're going to fly to La Paz. So this 3-day tour, we could pre-book this online, or we could wait and book it in San Pedro de Atacama at one of the tour agencies there. It means you might get some local knowledge, or we could have the security of having it booked ahead of time. You know, like we booked the Salcante ahead of time. I think it was obviously a lot of that was to do with the Machu Picchu tickets, but Yeah, this would be another question point of, do we want to pre-book the internal flights? Do we want to pre-book the tour, the uni tour? So because if I can look up like 3-day 2-night tour, San Pedro de Atacama to a uni, like I found these people, Howlanders, and you could pre-book this online. And if you want to get an idea of what this tour is going to be like, you can read through this. I get the impression that probably all of the tours are really similar, and like whoever you book it from, it's kind of like potato. So yeah, I haven't really like put any detail in for that, because obviously for that we're just going to do whatever the people tell us to. And that would mean we arrived, if we did it on that timing, we'd arrive in a uni at 3 p.m. on May 9th, and I think we'd probably be pretty fucking dead. So just go to bed in a uni. Oh yeah, and also the only flight from a uni to La Paz is one flight a day. It's at 9 a.m. So we'd have missed it anyway. So yeah, Ben said that a uni was a shithole. I think he actually said it was like Baghdad, is what he actually said. So I do think it probably would be worth potentially planning this far ahead and maybe booking into that flight, because like 120 quid at the moment to fly from a uni to La Paz, probably because it's like only one flight a day. Probably makes it a bit more expensive. So that would take us through, and we'd arrive on Sunday, May 10th in La Paz, which gives us the whole, those of us who are already going for 2 weeks at least, we have that whole second week left to plan out, or left to do stuff in, which at the moment we're talking about. We were talking about, obviously La Paz is up here, Lake Titicaca is up over here. This is Copacabana, is where you get to a lot of the stuff I was talking about. There's some really fun like walks and really cool stuff over here on the Isla de Sol. You can walk like the whole length of, this was all in, I got this from the Lonely Planet. You can walk like the length, or like around the whole of the Isla de Sol. That sounded pretty cool. Then you come back, if you're back into La Paz, you've got the cycling down the Death Road, which Ben said was really, really cool, really fun. And then we've also got the climbing of Huayna Potosi, which would be another 3-day 2-night trip, which again you can find stuff online for 3-day 2-night climb Huayna Potosi. So I mean, you could even probably, again, this is another one that you could book ahead of time, but I don't think you have to. And again, it's probably very easy to book, like just when you're in La Paz. Just go and you could go and chat in some tour operators. So really, it's fucking 13 minutes. Christ, no one's gonna watch this, are they? I think we should decide, one, if we're happy with this relative structure. I think we should try and book at some point we should book a first night stay in Santiago. We should book the internal flights to Calama, and then if we want to book the 3-day 2-night tour to a uni, we could then book the flight from a uni to La Paz as well. And we could book where we stay in San Pedro de Atacama. I know I'm normally like somewhat resistant to booking loads of stuff ahead of time on these like backpacking trips, because I feel like you always hear good stuff from people. You get like little recommendations from people you meet in hostels, etc. But I don't know. I think we could like stuff like flights and stuff like that. Like there's there's no need to, a flight's a flight, right? There's no need to get input on that for anyone. So basically, it'd be good to get from you people's thoughts on, happy with the structure, and therefore, do we want to book some of the internal flights, some of the hostels, and do we want to book the like 3-day 2-night tour from a uni, or do we want to just arrive in San Pedro de Atacama and then book it then? Because we'd have like 3 days to do that, and obviously that's like basically the only thing that people do in San Pedro de Atacama is they go and do all these like tours. So yeah, that's my 15 minute video.